My name is Darryl Carl. Thanks for being with us. Tonight's first story, the Tourism Ministry is embarking on a project to engage students at the various universities in Ghana with innovative ideas on how to market the country's tourist sites to the rest of the world. Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority said this at this year's Destination Legon exhibition, an annual tourism event organized by the University of Ghana, a business school level 400 students offering tourism marketing at the Department of Marketing and Entrepreneurship. There's more in this report.
This year's fair is coinciding with the school's entrepreneurship fair, which affords students the entrepreneurship opportunity to showcase their business and entrepreneurial competences. Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Ajiman, made this known at the ongoing business forum and exhibition at the University of Ghana Business School as part of the school's annual Business Management Week.
From bookings to marketing to levy collection to tourist attractions and how we can improve visitor experiences at these sites. So that is what we've been doing with them. I mean, technology is ever evolving. 2 years ago when this project started, probably some of the things that have come in now were not available. And so we look to see how we can go along with the technological improvements that are coming up every day. It's not just social media. We're looking at apps. One of the things we've discussed with them is to do an app challenge to see the various tourist apps that the youngsters have been coming up with and which ones we can adopt as a national app. We have several that are currently floating around. Every now and then we leverage it, but we want to have one holistic app for the country.
Meanwhile, organizer of the event and senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Kobe Mensah, is confident the forum has the potential of adding a facelift on the country's tourism sector. He says the university is currently coming up with programs that best address challenges faced in the entire value chain of the tourism sector.
This year, their task is to look into embedding technology into enhancing the tourism office. And clearly you can see as it's going on. Students are looking at how artificial intelligence can actually help us to enhance our tourism experience. So the group that is presenting now is called Old Ghana Empire. They're looking at artificial intelligence where we can do machine learning for these robots, etc., to live the old Ghana way. So when we take you to Saforo, which is the location that they've created, Saforo has the indigenous Ghanaian way of life. So you see pilolo, you see, even for food, you see abete and all those things. Now we're believing that when we take people that they can live exactly how Ghana used to live in those days, and they're using artificial intelligence to do that.
The rationale behind the event is to enhance students' understanding of marketing a destination just as they do with products and services.
The Bank of Ghana is advising commercial banks to suspend the payment of profits to their shareholders. This, according to officials, would help position them appropriately to meet the deadline for the minimum capital requirement. Some local banks have already called on the president to intervene for an extension of the deadline, as many of them are struggling to meet it. Regional Manager of the Bank of Ghana, Michael Nyamisem, says suspending profit payment is critical. He delivered a speech on behalf of the head of banking supervision, Osei JC, at the opening of the KNUST branch of Standard Chartered Bank. Prince Apia has more.
The Bank of Ghana has indicated that December 31st, 2018 is the deadline for banks to meet the minimum capital requirement. Officials of the Bank of Ghana are therefore advising banks
view of the deadline date. No change has yet been communicated, and we are currently sticking to the original 31st December 2018. It is our expectation that banks will suspend profit distribution. Bank will suspend profit distribution this year to enhance their ability to comply with the new capital deadline.
He spoke on behalf of the head of banking supervision of the Bank of Ghana during the opening of the ultra-modern smart branch of Standard Chartered Bank at KNUST.
Of the Holy Spirit.
CEO of the bank, Mansa Neti, says the bank has instituted guidelines on minimum capital requirements and corporate governance to protect client deposits.
Recently, Standard Chartered Bank introduced new guidelines on corporate governance and minimum capital requirements. And as a bank, we are committed to comply with these standards. The purpose is to ensure you, our clients, that your funds are safe and your wealth is safe with us.
The Smart Branch offers self-service digital platforms offering convenience to increasingly tech-savvy clients. It is part of the bank's ongoing investment in digital infrastructure. CEO of Standard Chartered Bank Ghana Limited, Mansa Neti, says the bank is committed to harnessing technology to deliver convenient service to clients.
The opening of this new branch affirms our commitment to financial deepening in Ghana, and our brand promise is being here for good. Being the first commercial bank in Ghana, we have been at the forefront of financial market and economic development in Ghana. We have become part of the fabric of the nation and are committed to remain for another 120 years.
Prince Apia reporting.
Well, still with the banking space, banking and financial analyst Dr. Richmond Ituahene is blaming the collapse of some local banks on the appointment of non-experienced board members and directors. According to him, Ghana's banking environment can be improved if managers adopt a self-regulation system and good corporate governance structures. Dr. Ituahene made the assertion in a keynote address at the maiden Accra Speaks series on the topic Governance of the Banking Sector in Ghana. Is the central bank failing?
Fortunately for us, corporate governance is supposed to be a self-regulation governance. But as you all agree with me, in our behavior, our social behavior in this country, if somebody eats and is holding some rubbish, he will find it easy to dump it down. And those of us who drive on Kumasi Road, when we know immediately we see the police with that odometer or whatever it is, we slow down. When we pass, we do the unnecessary speeding. If you have self-regulation, a good self-regulation, you will not overspeed. Because after all, if you crash your plane, you crash your car and die, the policeman won't suffer anything. The same thing with corporate governance. If your bank collapses, we will mourn, okay, Bank of Ghana will bail out. But at the end of it all, you who are enjoying good perks, fantastic perks, you will not enjoy it. So why don't you adopt self-regulation? That is a good corporate governance practices. Let me enumerate some of them. Effective board. What do we say about effective board? I'm very happy that Governor Addison in his directives given to us, although it's too late, he has sent it. It's good. I commend him for that. Because those who earlier had opposition never talk about corporate governance. Because we don't want to do self-righteousness. At least he has brought something. He has brought something. Corporate governance, as I said, effective board, competent board, experienced people, experience in finance and banking, risk, and what have you. At times it saddens my heart. It saddens my heart in this country that we can have people like me who can speak a lot, but have no knowledge of even banking experience, no financial experience, no skills, and let me bundle up, no competences. He becomes the board chairman. So you're going to have yo-yo results. poor performance, high non-performing asset, and capital deficiency. So those of you who think that corporate governance is an animal walking there, you are deceiving yourself. It has been tried and tested in other jurisdictions.
While the Dean of Business School at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Edward Mafuyadom, is urging financial institutions to adhere to regulations. According to him, the regulators' failure to crack the whip when necessary is only meant to boost confidence in the financial space. He spoke to Joy Business at the 2018 National Credit Management Conference and Awards Ceremony here in Accra. Bismarck Awusa's report.
Professor Edward Mafuyadom was speaking in the wake of stringent regulations in the financial sector, especially the banking circles. He lauded the central bank for its boldness to intervene in the insolvency of some banks in the country. In this regard, he has encouraged players in financial institutions to up their game in order to remain relevant on the market.
We may say that they are becoming more firm and more rigid, but that is how the rules of the game will be, because we need to also protect the public in terms of what they are giving to these institutions. So far, all the regulators, whether it's the Insurance Commission, whether it's the Security and Exchange, whether it's the Bank of Ghana, whether it's the Pension Regulatory, what we expect is that the entities under these regulatory authorities will also respond. And if there are some regulatory issues that are harsh, I mean, as they do their reviews and do their dialogue, we hope that some changes work. But for now, to me, they are doing well, because we need some kind of confidence for the public, that's individuals, institutions, to continue to do business with these financial services organizations.
He spoke to Joy Business on the sidelines of a conference and induction ceremony organized by the Chartered Institute of Credit Management Ghana, which saw some successful fellows and associates of the institution honored for their hard work. On his part, guest speaker at the function and chief executive of Sudan Investment Limited, Dr. Aziel Obing Okun, has re-emphasized the need to harness good corporate governance in credit management.
And we have seen a lot of issues within the financial services sector, and some of them, have to do with the related party transactions. You have people giving loans to themselves, their family members, their cronies and friends, without, proper credit management practices, and this is a problem. We also have what we call lack of separation of powers. You have owner who is the chairman and the CEO and also running the whole show. There shouldn't be a credit system which gives unfettered access to just one person from initiation to completion. There has to be, separation of powers. And it's also important for us to ensure that we are inculcating ethical and professional standards or behaviors.
The ceremony was under the theme, the impact of corporate governance on effective credit risk management in the finance sector. Bismarck Awusa's report for Joy Business.
Telecoms giant MTN is working to deploy machines that could take deposits and dispense cash. Joy Business understands the self-serving kiosks is currently being rolled out on a pilot basis with limited services. Sources say the proposed financial service could be deployed fully after the required regulatory approvals. But does this finally show that MTN is venturing into full banking business? George Yafe has been given some insights on the marketplace with Emmanuel Abwadji-Yafe.
Let's look at a typical ATM machine that you will walk into any wall and then try to slot your card in. Now this is like a kiosk, more of a kiosk ATM, where there are portions where you can slot in your money, there are portions where you can put in your coins, and there are portions where you can actually type the numbers in trying to carry out certain transactions on this kiosk. So let's see it as another form of an ATM dispensing machine that is painted yellow with the MTN inscription on it. And so that is what actually you're going to see. And for our screens there, you're having a view about how it is. So this is what MTN has actually deployed on the market, but this is on test run. So going to be just a selected locations where you can transact these services on, and that's what we are seeing the shots on our screens there to have a better idea about these self-service kiosks that MTN is planning to roll out. If you look at the Bank of Ghana data, it has about 150,000 people who are employed as merchants out there. Now, imagine having this kiosk in front of Joy FM, and you can do this mobile money transaction on it. There's one guy just down the street that also works on this thing. So about 100 or 200 guys in multimedia, wouldn't they prefer to use this kiosk than walking down there? Well, just like any normal ATM kiosk, it's expected to be secured as well. So if you have that kiosk at Joy FM, the guy down there, I doubt whether I'll walk up to him to do that transaction. So in the long term,
you're going to lose their jobs.
It's going to affect the over 150,000 people out there that have been employed to do the service.
While the CEO of MTN, Ebenezer Asante, has been speaking to us, he maintains that the telecoms giant is not interested in operating as a bank.
We are not a bank because that's not our core business. We are a telecom business. Our core business is breaking down telecom services and making it available to the average consumer. That is our work. Along the line, because banking itself relies heavily on information, we saw the need to make banking service available on a digital platform. And the model that we have implemented across MTN footprints is one of partnership. We do it with the banks because their work is to take risk by taking people's money, turning it around, investing it, and paying dividends to their shareholders at the end of the day. And they are better placed to manage the float that we generate on our platform. They are better placed to manage the risks associated with banking.
Well, talking about the provision of financial services, local oil marketing firm Goil has also announced its intention to venture into the mobile money business. Let's hear from the chairman of the board for Goil, Kwamna Bartels.
We believe that we could take advantage and leverage our 330 retail outlets right across the country, which is going to increase pretty soon, to set up money transfer outlets at all these various petrol retail outlets. And that will leverage the fact that at every petrol station you have a lot of cash, and we are spread right across the country, which gives us an advantage as far as money transfer is concerned.
It's going to be something like a bank, a mini bank or something? Not
a bank, but in the retail, the transfer business.
Like a mobile money point?
Mobile money transfer. That's precisely what.
In other news tonight, the Association of Ghana Industries has called on government to collaborate with the association in rolling out its flagship employment program for graduates, the Nation Builders Corps. The program, to be launched in May, is expected to provide about 100,000 jobs for graduates. Vice President Humphrey Daka says this collaboration will help create mentorship, entrepreneurship, and apprenticeship for the graduates.
Once the institutions negotiate their position very well, you might be lucky to get a tax rebate from government, or you could trade it in for corporate social responsibility, or you could trade it in for any form of advantage that will come to you in terms of R&D for your enterprise or the sector at large. We say this as government desires to roll out the NACOP program for over 100,000 graduates. It's our belief that in the formation of this program, if government, I know government desires, and it's part of the program document that we've seen, they intend to engage most of the private sector bodies, and so that we could have some firm arrangement that will integrate the participants, once you enter a program, in the third, fourth year, I need to exit and do one of these internship, apprenticeship.
Well, time to bring you our interview of the day, and Ecobank says it has no plans of acquiring any bank struggling to recapitalize. The Bank of Ghana is currently encouraging banks having difficulties in meeting the new capital levels to merge. Barclays Bank, for instance, has indicated it is working to take on another bank as a growth strategy. There are even calls for some of these big banks to look at the option of acquiring the struggling banks. But speaking to Joy Business in Lome, Togo Group Chief Ade Ayeyemi says the time is not right to make such a move.
Ghana, we want to continue to extend our leadership in Ghana. We need to bring new products to play. We need to continue to work with the government and people of Ghana. We need to extend the reach of our customers. We need to be number one in terms of players from a product point of view. We want to make sure that when a customer thinks of a bank that can provide solutions to the things that they want to get done, they think of Ecobank Ghana.
Mr. Dave, another bank that shares in your views, shares in your philosophy, says that they are having problems in recapitalizing. Would you look at that option?
You see, the way I always behave, when I go to a marketplace to compete, I go with an understanding that all the other competitors are capable competitors. I don't go to compete with that others are weak. I go to compete that others are equally strong. It will not be right of me, looking at all the players in the Ghanaian market, knowing some of their sponsors, for me to start making comments that assumes that they are weak. I don't do that. A large number of them are Africans that have the same quality that we have, the same passion and aspiration that we have. It is not nice for me to have a conversation that presumes some of my competitors are weak. I don't do that.
And
therefore, I believe that they will meet their regulatory obligation.
Alrighty, that interview ended in Business Live tonight. My name is Darryl Carl. Thanks for watching. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We're back next week.